All right, let's talk about the Epson D1070 a little bit more. Now, I've already done a video talking about why you probably won't want this printer, and I'll link it down below. I'll maybe link it up above, and go and watch that video. But in this video, I'm going to talk about, well, my successes, my likes, my dislikes on this printer after having it for a year and a half. I bought it in March of 2023. It is now September of 2024. I have run it through a busy Christmas season, and I've got a lot to tell you. And I will help you also to make this printer work as good as it possibly can. But first of all, who am I? My name is Mike Patterson, and I'm an award-winning professional photographer in Western Canada. I've been doing this for over 39 years. In addition to that, I also run a full-service photo lab. Now, I've had experience with Noritsu Mini Labs. I've had experience with Fuji Mini Labs, lots of Fuji Mini Labs. I have had experience with HP printers and Epson printers and Canon printers. So I have a lot of experience in printing. So when I bought this printer, I had researched it. I had done everything I could before I bought it. And well, overall, I love this printer. But there are some likes and there are some dislikes. So let's get into it. Now, before we do that, please click on the like button down below, the bell notification, the subscribe button, all of those things, and let's get into it. So I've got a sheet in front of me with my likes and my dislikes, so let's get into it. Number one like, the speed and the quality. A lot of printers, you can do speed, but you have to reduce the quality. This printer, you do great quality at a good speed. Now, that being said, please watch further on in the video where I talk about my dislikes, because this is the number one dislike too, is the speed. How much does this printer do? On average, this printer will do between the 100 and the 150 prints per hour when you're doing mixed work. Now, it says 400 an hour. I'll talk about that in the dislikes. Honestly though, between the 100 and 150 per hour is the range of this printer. But the great thing is that my previous printers were doing 20 to 30 prints an hour. So this one is much faster. All right, next thing. And I love this. Roll paper. You get a roll, you put the roll on, and away you go, you start printing. You don't have to worry about constantly inserting paper. It's great, it's wonderful, it's fantastic. But that's also a dislike down below. So keep watching or dislike that way. Next, the color. The color is as good on this printer as it is on any of the Epson printers, and it's as easy to control on this printer as it is on any of the Epson printers. The color is great, fantastic, fabulous. It matches the more expensive printers that I have for custom prints. When it's doing smaller stuff and I put it next to the other stuff I do on the other printers, it looks amazing. And my customers cannot see the difference. In fact, honestly, I can't see the difference. Maybe if I'm being picky and get a microscope or a loop, I could see it, but the color is amazing. All right, the next thing that I absolutely love, and if you're a photographer, but especially if you're a lab, is the cost of the prints. But not only the cost of the prints, the cost of the machine to buy it, which is factored into the cost of the prints if you know how to do bookkeeping. It's great, it's wonderful, it's fantastic. My 4x6 costs went from just under $1 a print to a few cents per print. It's amazing, and that's the paper, that's the ink. It's great, it's wonderful, it's fantastic. As far as the cost of the machine, perfect example. I contacted another manufacturer to look at a machine that's similar to this one. It does more paper sizes, I will admit that, and it does a little bit more per hour. But it was almost 15 times as much as this printer. And not only was it just about 15 times as much as this printer, the warranty on it sucked. With Epson, the warranty is if you have a problem, they send you a new printer. With this company, you have the extended warranty and they still charge you $500 just to travel to do the warranty work on it. So the cost per prints on this is amazing, and I love it for that. All right, the next one, and this is a big one. The sizes it can do is great. You load 5-inch paper on board, and you can do 3.5 by 5s, you can do 4 by 5s, and you can do 5 by 7s, all on the same roll, and the machine cuts it to the right size for you. It's great, it's wonderful. You load 6-inch paper on, and you can do 4 by 6s, you can do 6 by 8s, you can do 6 by 9s. You load the 8-inch paper on, 8 by 10s, 8 by 12s, or if you want to do those cards that I sell thousands of, those 4x8 cards, you can do that, and it cuts it to size. No more trimming sheets to get them down to the right size. So I love it for that. All right, the last one under my likes is the size of the ink cartridges. It's great. It's wonderful. They're huge. On the printers that I run, other than my big 24-inch or 44-inch printers, this one has big ink cartridges, and it's wonderful because you put the ink cartridge in, and when it gets down to about half, you still got weeks to go before you run out. On my smaller printers, when it gets down to half, if you don't have the canisters all ready to go to put into the machine, you're not going to keep running because you'll run out soon. This is great, wonderful. Now, let's get into the dislikes. And I'm going really quick because the video is currently, 7 minutes or whatever. The last time I did this video, it ended up almost 30 minutes. So I'm going as quick as I can through this. So if you need to listen again, slow it down, rewind, go back to it. All right, dislikes. Number one dislike is the speed. And as I've already mentioned, Epson says that this machine does 400 prints per hour. In realistic, operating it in my studio, running it off of, and this is the newest Windows 11 computer with all the newest tech into it and everything, the fastest processor, or even off of the Windows 10 machine back here that I also run it off of, you're lucky. The 100 to 150 prints per hour, maybe 200, but don't consider 400 as a realistic number. Now, the nice thing is, if you need more per hour, buy another printer. You can buy a lot of these for the price of a faster printer from a competitor. And I don't work for Epson, and this is not sponsored by Epson, but I would do that myself. I find that when I send jobs to it, if I send 50 of one print to it, yeah, it's probably running around the 200 prints per hour. If I'm sending one after the other, 100 prints per hour, and that's all sizes, so consider that. Number two, and I've already mentioned this, the roll paper. As much as I love the roll paper, I hate the roll paper. Why? Well, first of all, the spindles. If you're going to have different sizes of paper, different paper finishes, then get additional spindles, because those spindles are a pain to keep transferring if you do it quite often in a day. If you can batch run 5-inch at one time, 6-inch at the next time, 8-inch at the next time, yeah, great, keep one spindle. But I'm running currently 2 spindles. I did have 3 here when they sent me an extra printer to try out. And extra spindles just make it so much easier to change paper. But the other problem with the roll paper is, as you get down on the roll, down to about a quarter left on the roll, you're going to find that your paper is curled. And yes, this machine has a decurl paper setting in it. I don't think it does anything, but you will find a curl. Now, if you get one picture, you're really not noticing it. If you get 300 pictures that you're printing for a client, you will notice that they have a curl to it. And what I usually do is I usually go in and just flex them a little bit backwards, and it helps. But yes, there is a curl to it. So the roll paper has some disadvantages as well. All right, the next one. And this is a big one. This was almost number one, but honestly, I put it where I thought it should go, and that's number 3. Epson customer service or technical support sucks. It's horrible. I had a problem with my original printer. What happened was, just before Christmas last year, I noticed on certain prints that it didn't look right. It was leaving a line, and it wasn't in the direction of the head travel. It was in the 90 degrees to that. But it was only once in a while. After Christmas, when things slowed down, I contacted Epson to ask about it. The response was, huh? What? What printer are you talking about? So I talked to them. I asked them to do some tests. They confirmed their test printer that they had at their office was doing the same thing. So their response was to fix the problem, send me a new printer. Seriously? That's your response? They sent me a new printer. I went to install it, and it wouldn't even take the ink in it. It was a dud, a brick when it got here. So I phoned them, told them that. They sent me another printer. Well, in the time while I was waiting for these printers, I went through and I played with my printer constantly to try to solve it. And what I found out is that the alignment of the head that I had originally done when I set it up had changed. I contacted the Epson tech. He went down, did a test with his, and found out the exact same thing. So did theirs. How did it change? The only thing that I could figure out, and he confirmed it, was one of the firmware updates must have reset it. Now, I went through and I redid all of that and everything, and it worked perfect. The quality was wonderful, fantastic. Excellent. It was back to where it was before. So how do you get around that? Well, I recommend every month, month and a half, 2 months at the longest, go through and do a nozzle check. But not only just a nozzle check, immediately afterwards, do a head alignment. If it's changed, correct the numbers of the head alignment, and then do a paper feed adjustment and adjust those numbers. And then your machine will stay perfect. Now mine has wandered since. This is a new printer. This is the third new printer or third printer. And it has wandered a couple times. So I recommend doing that. I also recommend doing a nozzle check every single day because it does get clogged nozzles, whether you're using it for 500 pictures in a day or 1 picture in a day. And I don't recommend it if you're doing low volumes, but it does have a habit of getting a clogged nozzle. Now, the other area that it gets clogged nozzles in is that if you do 500 prints at a time, so you send an order of 500 prints to the printer, it seems to get a clogged nozzle when it's done that order, which is the weirdest thing. You do 500 prints and all of a sudden the nozzle's clogged. You send another order of 500 prints and they're all bad quality. So I recommend after any large batches, 200 or above, to do a nozzle check. Now, you can leave this machine set to do auto nozzle checks. It kills your volume. It reduces the speed so much if you're sending single prints to it. They have a setting on it that's supposed to do it via time. It doesn't work. It does it every single time for me. I asked Epson about it. They says, we don't know. So I wish it could be fixed so that it does it after every 2 hours. It'll do a check. But yeah, you just can't do it. So I recommend nozzle checks. But Epson customer service doesn't exist. Their support doesn't exist for this. They just send you a new printer. On the good side of things, get the extended warranty and they send you a new printer if you have a problem. So I recommend the extended warranty, but don't expect Epson to be there to support you. All right, next thing. Doing single prints. If you're putting single prints in the manual feeder at the back, it's slow, it's ridiculous, it's a pain. Now, yes, you can get the attachment that goes underneath it that will do sheet feeding. The problem is if you're doing cards, thicker cardstock doesn't feed in the sheet feeder. You're still manually putting it in. And it's ridiculous. So you come here, you send a job. It goes into error mode. You go back, you put a sheet in it. Then it will print it. Then you put another sheet in it and it'll print it. Then you put another sheet in it and it'll print it. But it always has to go into error mode to do that first print. It's stupid. They just never thought this out very well for a production environment. So that's another problem. So do I think that you should buy it? If you're a photographer and you do volume, if you're a photo lab and you do volume, buy it. If you're a photographer that does a print or 2 or 3 or 5 a week, I would not recommend this at all. In fact, I wouldn't recommend any Epson printer. I'd recommend finding a lab to do your work for you. But especially if you want to buy this one and only do a few prints, it's not worth it. If you're a lab and you do a good volume, 50, 100, 200, 500 prints a day, this is a great printer for you. So until next time, have a great day. I hope this helped you with this printer. I do love this printer, even with its issues. Get out there, use it for what it's intended, and I think you will be happy to. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye now.